Two people both do 30 minutes of Spanish a day for a year. Neither misses a week. At the end of it, one of them can follow a conversation and the other one cannot. Same time, same commitment, same language. The difference is not talent and it is not the app they chose. It is what happened inside the 30 minutes. Here is the answer, and it is uncomfortable. Most people's 30 minutes is about 25 minutes of doing things about Spanish and 5 minutes of actual Spanish going into their head, reading explanations, tapping through an app, organizing notes, watching somebody in English explain a rule. All of that is about the language. Very little of it is the language. Flip that ratio and nothing else about your life has to change. Same 30 minutes, same time of day, same sofa. So let me show you what the 30 should look like, the 4 ways people quietly lose it, what to do on the days you have 5 minutes instead, and how to tell whether any of it is working, because the way most people measure is actively misleading. First, the idea that makes the rest of this work. There are 2 kinds of minute and they are not interchangeable. There are focus minutes where you are sitting down and Spanish is the only thing happening. And there are ambient minutes where Spanish is playing while you do something else. People argue about which one is real learning. Both are, and they do different jobs. Focus minutes are where new things get in, and they are expensive because they need attention you do not have much of. Ambient minutes are where familiar things get worn smooth, and they are nearly free because they use time that was already being spent on something else. So the split I would defend is 15 and 15. 15 focus minutes and 15 ambient ones that cost you nothing because they happen while you walk, wash up, or sit in traffic. That second 15 is why 30 minutes a day is far more achievable than it sounds. Half of it is not really time out of your day at all. Now, the 15 focused minutes, and there is one rule that governs them. They should be slightly uncomfortable. If your focused listening feels easy and pleasant the whole way through, it is not doing anything. You are enjoying Spanish, you already have. The place you want is the one where you are following the thread but losing pieces. You get the general shape, you miss individual words, and you are guessing from context and mostly guessing right. That state feels like mild frustration, and mild frustration is the sensation of learning. Comfortable is the sensation of revision. And within those 15, spend the last 5 on something you already heard days ago. This is the single most skipped habit in language learning and one of the most productive. Everybody wants the next thing. The consolidation is in the last thing. The ambient 15 have the opposite rule. They should be easy. Comfortably within reach, ideally something you have heard before. You are not trying to learn while you carry the shopping. You are keeping the sound of the language present so that it stops feeling foreign. This is where music earns its place and where a story you already know is worth more than a new one. And it is worth being honest about what it does not do. Ambient listening will not teach you a single new word if you cannot follow it. Playing advanced Spanish radio while you cook is not immersion, it is noise, and a lot of people have spent months doing exactly that. Now the 4 ways the 30 minutes get lost, and I would guess at least 2 of these are yours. 1. Doing it at the wrong end of the day. Focus minutes need attention, and attention is a resource that runs out. If your 15 focused minutes are the last thing before bed, you are spending your worst attention on the part that needs your best. Swap it with the ambient half and you gain a lot for free. Multitasking with something that also wants words. Music with lyrics in English, a conversation, a screen with text on it. Ambient Spanish works alongside walking or washing up because those do not compete for language. It does not work alongside anything that involves reading or talking, and that is most of what people try to pair it with. 3, and this is the seductive one, material that is too easy. It feels wonderful. You understand everything, you finish the session pleased with yourself, and you learned nothing, because there was nothing in it you did not already have. This is the most common way that consistent people stall for a year. And 4, organizing instead of doing. Choosing the app, rebuilding the deck, reading about study methods, watching a video like this one. All of it feels like the work, and none of it is Spanish entering your head. I am aware of the irony, and I would rather say it than not. Now the days when 30 minutes is not happening. And they will happen, so having an answer in advance is the difference between a gap and an ending. On those days, do 5 minutes and make them ambient rather than focused. One song. One short thing you have already heard. The purpose of the 5 minutes is not learning, it is keeping the thread unbroken because the cost of restarting is much higher than the cost of a small day. And when you do miss a day entirely, which you will, the rule is simply that you do not miss the next one. So almost nobody stops because of one missed day. They stop because the second and third missed day stopped feeling like anything. Which leaves the last question, how do you know if any of it is working? And here is where I would throw out the thing everybody uses, which is the streak. A streak measures attendance. It does not measure whether anything went in, which is why people with enormous streaks are so often unable to hold a conversation. It is a genuinely good tool for building the habit in the first month, and a genuinely bad one for telling you whether the habit is any good. Use this instead. Once a month, go back to something you could not follow 4 weeks ago and play it again. Not something new. The same thing. Either more of it arrives than last time or it does not, and that is a real measurement of the only thing you actually care about. Keep one clip permanently for this. People find it strangely emotional the first time it works, because progress in listening is invisible day to day and then suddenly measurable in one 30-second replay. One more thing, because the 30 minutes should not stay the same shape all year, and nobody tells people this. The split changes as you get better, and keeping the beginner split forever is its own kind of stall. In the first months, almost everything should be listening, and your focus block should be material made for learners. There is no shame in that, and there is no faster route through it. Material made for beginners is the only material that sits in the useful zone when you are a beginner. Somewhere around the middle of the first year, the focus block should start including things made for actual Spanish speakers, even though they are too hard, not for the whole 15 minutes, 5 of them. That is your bridge out of the learner bubble, and people who never build it end up permanently comfortable with teaching material and permanently lost with real speech. And later in the year, the ambient half quietly becomes the bigger half, because by then you can follow enough real material that background listening finally does something. That is the point at which the whole thing stops feeling like a schedule and starts feeling like watching television, and that is when people who make it describe it as having got easy. Speaking of which, here is a clip you can keep. 4 ordinary sentences at ordinary speed. Note roughly how much of it you get today and come back in a month. El pez vive en un río pequeño. El agua está fría y limpia. Por la mañana el pez busca comida entre las plantas. Después el pez descansa cerca de una piedra grande. Whatever fraction of that you got, that is your number for today. It is the only metric in this whole video that means anything. Write it down somewhere, you will find it again, even roughly. Half of it, most of it, a couple of words. In 4 weeks, that scribble is going to be the difference between knowing you are improving and merely hoping so. And hoping so is what makes people quit a thing that was working. So, 15 minutes uncomfortable and sitting down, 15 minutes easy, and while you do something else, the last 5 of the focus block spent on something old, and the whole thing measured once a month against the clip you keep on purpose. I would like to know which of the 4 wasters is yours, and I suspect a lot of people are going to say the 4th one, because organizing is the most comfortable way to spend an evening feeling productive. It is also the easiest one to fix, which is the good news. Nobody has to find more time, they just have to stop spending the time they already found on the wrong half of the problem. And if you are going to change one thing tonight, change the material rather than the schedule. Find something slightly too hard for you and let the frustration be the sign that it is working rather than the sign to stop. There are a couple of videos here that follow on from this one. Take a few seconds and pick one.